You know I like my chicken fried. Cold beer on a Friday night. A pair of jeans that fit just right. And a radio.
Whoa.
Well, I was raised beneath the shade of a Georgia pine. And that's home, you know. Sweet tea, pecan pie, and homemade wine. Where the peaches grows. And my house, it ain't not much to talk about. Oh man, I didn't even know there was this part. I just gotta go back to the other part. And a little bit of chicken fried. Cold beer on a
On a
Friday
Friday
night.
night.
Pair of jeans that fit just right. And the radio.
Oh,
And then see the sunrise. See the love in my woman's eyes. Feel
hey,
the touch of a precious child. And know a mother's love. It's funny how it's the little things in life that mean the most. Oh, I can't. I'm done, bro. I'm done on that one.
yo, right before this, I was telling Andy, I was like, yo, it is GGC Live Week. We got to come up with a hype song. And I thought he was going to go with some like old school rap. I was thinking, We Ready by Archie. And
You
he's like,
ready?
yo, you gonna love this.
Oh, man. Well, I gotta get this guy Oliver out of there. He needs to go. Oliver, go, go, go. We home. We're live in the studio right now, and Oliver's
We
chilling in the studio.
live. Yeah,
But
you
Peter,
guys
what's
got here's some crispy audio upgrades. Dude, I know you guys are usually listening to this, but if you guys are tuning into the live YouTube stream for this podcast, you can check out Andy's dope ass new home studio.
we're working on it. We're working on it.
We getting there. We leveling it up.
Dude, we just unloaded 100 pairs of sneakers, over 400 books. I just
Bro,
didn't
did
realize.
you did us have 100 pairs Jordans and stuff?
Yeah, gotta give. I feel like I'm on MTV Cribs right now.
Sheesh.
So that's like multiple stacks in the bottom. Prior to being a physical therapist, I was flipping sneakers. So
So let
around
me ask
like
you this. Do you have multiple pairs of the
the same
same model, or do you have only are you only like, hey, only one of every single model?
one of every single model except one pair that I have like 4 pairs of.
What pair is that?
The Chicago ones, like the classic Jordan one.
Okay, yep, the high tops, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's just like I just try to. There are a couple that I like to like collect in a sense that like, I don't think I'll wear it, but I like the symbolism behind the shoe. So like one of
Mhm.
them, I actually got gifted by Vin, the owner of Mild Detox, one of the owners of Mild.
Yo.
He sent me the Kobe Bryant Bruce Lee collab.
Mhm.
Just like a dope ass shoe. It's more like a piece of art than it is like a shoe that I would wear.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I look for now. I'm like, oh man, like I got all the shoes that I pretty much want, but there are certain pairs of sneakers where I'm like, I would never wear that. Just not my style. But I appreciate it almost like a piece of art.
I got you. I was just saying, if you have like 100, you could probably almost like wear a new pair every 3 to 4 days, man.
That's pretty much what happens. It's
Just
like
cycle through, yeah.
yes, I go through. But in when I was like what 10 years old, essentially when I was growing up, it's like I didn't have money, right? Like my
Uh-huh.
parents gave us one pair of sneakers per year. I would run through that shit in like 3 months playing tag and doing stuff around. And instead, like when they bought me a new pair of shoes, so essentially when I was younger, it was like if I had a hole in my shoe for
Mhm.
like 9 months, every single time it rained, I was fucked. I would have wet
Yeah.
socks. And we weren't like poor by any means. It's just like we were limited in resources. My
Yeah.
mom one year gets me a pair of sneakers, and I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna wear this shit anymore. I'm gonna sell it. So I sold it for like a $10 profit. And I kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it. And I sold sneakers all the way up until I graduated physical therapy school. And at my peak, I was doing like 30 to 40K a year as a side hustle.
Jeez.
I was bookkeeping.
Dude, that is balling. Are you kidding? Like 30 or 40K in college? That's big
No, not
money.
not in college. That was like after
High
college.
school? Oh, after, yeah. But still, man, like fresh out of college, dude, you're not making nothing, bro.
Yeah, I was working full time as a PT aide. So I was like doing like I would work from like 7 a.m. till like 3 p.m. or I would do 10 to 6. And I would work 40 hours. I would go to night school to take like bio, like at community college. On the
Yeah.
weekends, I would drive around to every single Nike store in Queens, Long Island, Brooklyn, and I would just spend probably like 5 to 10 G's and buy as many sneakers as I thought I could sell. But the secret is essentially I plugged in the SKU of the code onto eBay, and
Yeah.
I would go on the side menu and I'd check off like what has sold recently from that same SKU and what the price was, and I would look at the difference. If I can make 20 to 30 bucks I would
You'd be
do it.
like doing it, yeah.
But essentially, like if I can make 20 or 30 bucks, I wouldn't sell one. I would tell them, let me get 20 of them.
Shit, buy in bulk. Do you ever end up needing like get like almost kind of like a mini warehouse or like kind of just a room just to stock all the inventory?
Yeah, so essentially at the peak, I was holding like 500 something pairs at once in my parents' place.
Sheesh.
So like my room was straight up shelves and boxes. And even when I was in physical therapy school, Brian will tell you, I had a fucking wall of
Just a
sneaker
wall
boxes.
of sneakers.
I was sleeping next to a wall of sneaker boxes, and it was like for me, it was just like a way to one make money because like I
Mhm.
growing up, I was a punk ass kid. I didn't want to rely on my parents for anything anymore. So I was like,
Yeah.
yo, I'm gonna start making bread myself. So like around like junior high school and high school, I was making close to like 200 to 500 a month. I mean, 200 to 500 a week. And
Mhm.
some weeks I would make like 1,000 just all cash. Sneaker forums, Craigslist, all that shit.
Yeah, that's dope, man. My thing while I was in college was I ended up learning how to cut hair, and I feel
For
like
real?
yeah. So I was dude Pete's barbershop, man. But it's
It's
funny,
barbershop.
like yeah, my like apartment, it was basically above another barbershop right next to the noodle bar at Rutgers. But it's funny, I basically like started like cutting for free, just a bunch of my friends' hair, and then from there I was like, all right, cool, like. Can you pay me $10? And then people started paying $10, and then I got all the way up to about like 20, 25 bucks. And then I carried that with me all the way into like PT school. So while I was in PT school, I was like cutting some of my like classmates' hair and everything. But dude, I will say though, like that I felt like taught me a lot about just like communication. So a lot of like when I
Wait, were
did,
you cutting hair of people that you didn't even know at some point?
yeah, at some point, because a lot of it initially was just my fraternity brothers. You know, I was just cutting them, and then all of a sudden it's like they're like, oh yeah, yo, like can you cut my buddy's hair? And because I was still like underpricing compared to the barbershop underneath my apartment. Because like the barbershop underneath me at Rutgers is like it's probably like 40 bucks or so for a cut.
Damn.
Yeah, and so I was like, I would always intentionally go like, hey, like it's $20, or at the time when I was at Rutgers, it was like 15. Right, so it's like, dude, this is like way less than what you would get underneath. Obviously, you know, it's like, hey, still brand new and stuff, still get my repetitions in. But it's like after you get them in, they see it's like, all right, yeah, it's like this guy kind of like it looks acceptable. They're like, all right, yeah, like I'll continue to come in. But dude, really, that just kind of taught me a lot. Just like, hey, like, all right, like how do you like shoot the shit right with somebody for like 30, 40 minutes, kind of just like catching up with them, like even if it's a brand new person, hey, asking them questions, kind of break the ice. And I feel like that for me, honestly, played a lot into the first like 2 years of like starting up like cash pay practice, because a lot of it is really just like rapport building. It's just like how do you like build up these like small skills and everything.
Dude, what was the value stack back in the day where it's like, yo, I'm gonna give you a cut, I'm gonna line your shit up, and I also get a facial moisturizer. You didn't get
Bro,
the facial
there was no value stack back in the day, man. I wasn't on any of that business IQ stuff. It was just like, hey man, like you like it, come through, come back. I would you know what I would do though? I would so Snapchat was really big back in the day. I would just like take a picture of it and put it up on my story.
social proof,
But that
baby.
was like you can't really back in the day. I don't think you can tag other people, so it wasn't like what Instagram could do now, where you tag them when they repost it. But that was pretty much about the extent of it, man. But yeah, it was fun.
Oh man, guys, it runs deep, baby. It runs deep. Before physical therapy, you gotta. I don't think people are naturally born entrepreneurs. I definitely think you can learn all these traits and abilities. But there was a guy, Monish Pabra, and he talks about like what you do when you're 10 to 20 will will put you light years ahead of anyone else that tries to learn the same skills when they're 20, 30, or 30 to 40. So like, if you think of like, I always think about like, man, I watched these kids when I was doing jujitsu a lot. From 10 to 20 years old, I'm like, everything that you learn at 10 to 20 years old, it's like fucking riding a bike. It's like second nature to you.
Easy, yeah.
So I think you have this advantage if you've done some sort of random ass business when you're 10 to 20, you know.
Well, I think a lot of it also, man.
But no, it was funny because like even when you couldn't afford shit, I remember like there was like a phase. I was in fifth grade. I started stealing things from like the deli.
Hmm.
So like I would buy one airhead and I would have 10 airheads in my pocket, and then I would pass them out to my homies and like stupid shit like that. And there was like a spot near our house that had DDR in the back. And they had like a Korean guy, arcades and DDR in the back. In the front, he sold a bunch of miscellaneous things.
Yeah,
I grew up in Woodside, Queens, so it's super ethnically diverse. Like my boys growing up, Puerto Rican, Colombian, Korean, Indonesian, black. Like we had like everybody. Our pictures used to look like the United Nations. But obviously you got this like cross pollination of like cultures. And one of my friends was wearing a do rag, and I'm like, yo, I want to rock a do rag. So I went to that store, and I couldn't afford a do rag, so I stole the do rag. I put it in my like put it in my hoodie, and I'm walking out. The Korean guy grabs me from the back, and he pulls me, and he's like, "What do you have in your pocket? Like, what do you have in? Show me." And I got this black and white do rag that's like split down the middle, and I like pass it back to him. He goes, he just like so confused. He was like, "Why? Why are you doing this?" But back then it was just like you would wear it and then you would put like an all black Yankee hat on top of it or something, or you would put it
Yeah.
on your back pocket and that was like a cool thing to do. But he looked so confused. He's like, "Bro, do you
Like
know
this
that,
guy
like
have an identity race crisis right now.
this is not for you, brother. This is like your ears, like not like that." But I just wanted to rock it from like a it was just like one of those things that you watch like, MTV or whatever and like BT. It's like you got like people wearing do rags in the fitted. And I'm like, oh man, that's a fire look.
And then the
That would
fitted has to be like crooked on your head and just barely hanging on, you know?
But it was just like, man, I think about that stuff and I'm like, that owner, we used to be a menace to him. So I was like, yo, I just feel bad for him. I feel bad.
I feel like as a owner of like a bodega or some sort of, like local convenience store in New York, you just probably see like the craziest shit, man.
I try to go back to that convenience store,
Mhm.
probably like when I had that gap year in physical therapy school. I wanted to just go back and give him like 40 bucks, yo, bro. Like inflation with inflation, I'm like, yo, brother, I've stole so many earheads from you. Like, I'm so sorry. I
Here's
went through
interest times 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, I don't want any bad karma. I'm gonna anything that stupid I've done in the past, I've like tried to think about like, how can I find that person to fucking,
Give him back.
just to kick it back. So I was like, fuck, I was an asshole.
Well, dude, look at you, man. We turned out all right. But yeah, dude, guys, GGC live this week. We're gonna be talking all about like past shit that we've done in our lives, some of our upbringings and stuff with you guys. So yeah, super excited for that for this week.
Yo, it's I can't
More do rag convenience stories like that.
no, no, no. You dropping trays. What if we were in like a White House? And I'm like, yo, Peter, that's just mad.
Yeah.
One of my friends growing up was half Asian, half white. And whenever you hung around with Asian people, it'd be like, yo, it's because I'm white, right? It's because I'm white. And then when you hang out with white boys, it'd be like, yo, it's because I'm Asian, right?
Yeah. Always playing the race card.
Always got to play the race card. But yo, everyone's got trauma. Everyone's got shit that they're going through. But the truth is, you can't really solve those things until you actually admit that there is a problem, which is why we're going to be talking about the assessment in regards to pre objection handling, because we need to make sure that the person on the other side of this interaction understands that they have a problem that they need to solve.
Dude, I think that might be the best transition we've had in a while yet.
Oh my gosh!
Dude,
Let's jump right
it's
into
the
that race.
environment, man. It's the environment. You're in a new environment, man. The juices are flowing.
I am about to get the Elgato stream board.
Yes.
You know what I'm going to put on one of the buttons? The beep, 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 beep.
The audio. Pew, pew. Blow horn, blow horn, blow horn. Dude, gotta give it to you, man. That was a plus transition.
Listen, I try to make it up for the fact that I could fucking barely sing that second verse of Chicken Fried, but I truly believe that this is going to be the hottest take ever. Evidence-based physical therapists are terrible at sales because it's conflicting with what you need to do from a sales perspective. I'm not saying that evidence-based people are bad clinicians. I think they're great clinicians, but you have to unlearn some of these beliefs so that you can actually help people change behavior. I was talking to our PT yesterday and I dropped a dope line on him and I'm like, yo, hold up, hold up. I just have to write that down because I think it would resonate with a ton of people.
Let's hear it.
How can I drive urgency to change someone's behavior that feels authentic to me? Because at the end of the day, someone's coming to you because they need to change their behavior. But if you are overwhelmingly empowering, right,
Yeah. And
that
you
makes
gloss
people feel like
over
they
it.
don't need to do anything. And if they don't do anything, then nothing changes. So, how do we communicate in a way that allows people to know that they have a problem, but it doesn't make us feel like fucking used car salesmen?
I definitely like agree, man. Like I know for sure, like my first probably like couple months of practice, because again, I was just like, hey, like I would gloss over the symptoms. Oh yeah, dude, like it's not that bad. Because especially, coming from like, the home health setting that I was in, or even like the outpatient setting, I was like, oh dude, like you're super fit. Like it's not gonna take that long. Like you'll be good in no time. And I would only sell like single visits because I didn't really even think about like, hey, all the in-depth stuff that I would need to really take them through. But yeah, I mean, I think the assessment is like a really big part of the sales process. I know a lot of times people think about, hey, like the discovery call, the pre-nurture sequence, the pre-objection handling questions that we talked about in the subjective, right? And then definitely the objection handling at the end. But in reality, dude, the entire evaluation is a sales process. You're there to help them realize, like, hey, there is a problem for them that can be solved. And a lot of that really does just come from like some of the assessment, some of the intra-session changes that you are able to provide for them on the actual assessment portion of the evaluation as well too. But yeah, walk us through some of the like strategies and things that you found to be really helpful to kind of help drive some of this like urgency in some of these people that are coming in. Because yeah, if people don't have urgency, it doesn't matter how good your tactics are. It doesn't matter how good some of these like questions you're asking. It's like if they don't feel like they have a problem that needs to be solved today, they ain't moving forward with shit.
No, for sure. I think like give you guys a flow of like what our eval looks like. It's like we obviously have what we talked about in part one, which is like all of our subjective. Then as we get into it, it's like first thing I usually have is say, hey, I just want you to lay on the table, face up, and we're gonna go through movements. Is it okay if I move your legs and arms around? Like, yep. If I find a discrepancy in range of motion that I think is significant, let's say Peter's coming in and he's having pain with benching, right, on his right side under shoulder. I will actually have him, and I see there's a significant discrepancy in shoulder IR, right, compared to left. I'll have him place his left arm on his right shoulder. I'm going to go through my range of motion. And then that point where his shoulder starts to roll forward, I'm like, can you feel it? Can you feel that? Can you feel how your shoulder starts to move forward? Then I'll go to the other side. It's like, can you feel how this left shoulder, it's like, it's so smooth. Like you can literally get to the bottom. Can you feel the difference there? I want them to be able to admit something because if they can admit that there is a difference in how something feels, then I can start to point to them that there is some sort of problem that I could solve for them that is relevant. And then it's starting to tie the dots there. It's like, hey, you're very limited in internal rotation on the right side. As you start to lower yourself into a bench, that is where you're going to need internal rotation. If you don't have that range of motion, sometimes it can cause a lot more stress to that joint capsule, which is why you're being irritated right now. That's just one part of it. I'm going to continue to look further, but immediately I've already found something that I know can help you feel better once we start to address it.
One thing that we like to do is like helping them quantify the differences between the affected side and the non-affected side. So if we're going through maybe like a certain exercise and they have one side that is tremendously stronger than the other, we'll ask them, hey, like let's say your good side is like a 10 out of 10 strength. What would you rate this like more irritable, more painful side from a strength standpoint? And then from there, and this is still like while we're out on the gym floor, they'll give maybe, oh yeah, like massive difference. It's like maybe like a 5 out of 10, 50% difference,
Mm.
40% difference, 60%, like whatever that gap is, we'll take that number and then we'll plug it in as we're reviewing. Hey, all right, everything that we found today, right? You saw that, hey, like your right side shoulder, 10 out of 10 strength, your left side shoulder, it's only a 5 out of 10 strength. We have to close that gap between the two. And because we asked them like to quantify the differences between side to side, it must be true because it came directly from them. It's just facts, brother, right?
I love that one. That's definitely one that we utilize. Like have people do a bunch of things set aside. Very common assessment that I'll utilize is like if a runner comes in with knee or hip pain and or even foot and ankle stuff. I'm like, we just hit a single leg calf raise. Usually the side that's injured or provocative, it's like really, really difficult, right? It's like 10 calf raises, then the other side it's like 20. It's like, all right, can you feel the difference in difficulty side to side? Like, obviously, motherfucker, I've done it twice the amount on this leg, and you're gonna feel ridiculous asking those things, but you want them to feel like, yeah, totally. And then that's when you're allowed to educate. It's like, yeah, it's definitely more. I noticed the same thing. It's a little bit more difficult side to side, and honestly, the other side is twice as strong. And the calves are like a workhorse for running. So it's like if we don't work on that, that's going to continue to put stress onto your knee. So it's constantly like harping on the same thing, right? It's like you're building the assessment and just showing how it constantly relates. It's like, okay, we looked at a mobility thing. That's how the mobility restrictions place stress to this area. We look at a capacity thing. That's how the weakness here is leading to more stress in this area.
Yeah, one of the things, because I feel like on the assessment, we just kind of we're constantly talking, and I think sometimes it almost might be a little bit too much information for people. So what we like to do, like as we're kind of talking, and at the end, is kind of make a list on the whiteboard that we have in every single room of like, hey, here's everything that we found today, and we'll kind of just list off, hey, like kind of similar to what you're talking about, hey, like big internal rotation deficiency on this one side, hey, big calf weakness on this one side, and we'll kind of just list out all the problems on the whiteboard. So now they have like a big list that they can really kind of start to visualize like, hey, yeah, like because of these deficiencies that I haven't addressed yet, it is now leading to, hey, like insert, bam. Now you can make another list of all the symptoms that you're recapping for them. And then from there, it leads very, very nicely into the final part of the assessment, or final part of the initial evaluation, which is the pitch. And the pitch is really just like, hey, talking to them about like, hey, how we're going to solve all these, like this massive list of problems that we found today that is going to help them get back to whatever goal that they're trying to get back to.
Yeah, the whole aspect of this is like, if the other person doesn't agree that there is a difference in difficulty status, I already can feel a difference. You can't sell them on those things, right? Imagine like anyone try to sell you something, you're like, oh, I don't think that I actually have this problem. Why would you want to buy a solution for something that you don't actually have a problem for? Another thing that we do now, and we've made it part of our like SOP, is you got to coach by a phone. Like you've got to show the client or patient what they look like side to side. Sometimes video, like more of a dynamic movement. Sometimes just a static. It's like, hey, when you're doing this deadlift, your hips barely move back and your torso folds like crazy. It's just putting more stress to your lower back. So like as I'm coaching you, I want you to be mindful. Like you're only gonna bend your torso as much as your hips move backwards. Like just subtle things like that. And people are like, I didn't even know I was doing that. So it's like, no, totally get it, right? And that's why we're here, is to make sure that you do things efficiently. And that just sets up the stage later, because someone's going to be like, hey, I want to try these things on my own, or like, hey, I don't want to come see you every single week. It's like, listen, I want to get you to the point where I don't have to see you every single week. But currently, remember when I was coaching up through the phone, it's like, you're going to have a hard time seeing yourself. I need to be the person that actually allows you to find the right positions, have helpful cues, so that when we're spending longer times not together, you're actually doing those things efficiently. But if I were to let you go for 2 weeks and you're doing the exercises wrong, we're just going to be wasting a ton of time, which is why we want that quicker feedback loop in the beginning to build momentum.
I love it. I think too, also, like a lot of times people learn differently as well, right? So some people can take feedback just by kind of like going through the movement and kind of feeling, one side versus the other. Other times people might need kind of that like visual aspect of like watching how their body moves so they can kind of take that feedback and, learn it a little bit better. Another thing I was just thinking about too is like after you take a video and you show that and coach it to them, that's also just another great piece of content that you can reutilize. Obviously with like the patient's permission and everything. But I know a lot of times, like so many PTs are like, "Oh, I don't know what content to post." I'm like, brother, just showcase what you're coaching people throughout the day, and you'd be surprised at how many people also online are like, "Holy shit! Like their squat looks very similar to my squat." I think I probably have the same problem as well too.
I love that, because the main bottleneck for people is just the consistency of the content, right? People want to ask about content strategy. I'm like, I don't give up about content strategy until you're consistently posting every single day. And once you are, then we can talk about what we can start to work on. One last bit that I talk about often is like, once you have like a handful of problems that you can identify with a person, you can make a very strong statement. And there's two really strong statements that I make. One of them is like, hey, I'm just so glad that we're able to find something, right? Because if you came in and you're dealing with all this stuff and I couldn't find anything, like you're probably going to need surgery. But the fact that we're able to find stuff today to work on, I know that as we start to address these things, you will feel better. And then another thing that I'll kind of drop throughout the evaluation when I feel like, when it feels appropriate, like it might be one of the things that's very hard for them to do. I'll literally just tell them, you can't run pain free because this is really, really bad. And if this doesn't change, I don't expect you to run pain free. So it doesn't matter if whether you work with us or somebody else, like this is something that absolutely needs to improve, because it's so hyper specific to your goal. And then we have all the other things in the back that's going to support it. None of these things change. Like there's no way that you're going to get back to running. Running is just all for, being able to tolerate impact and forces. And there's nothing that does that besides training the right things for your body. There's no pill, there's no injection. So I'm just so glad that we're able to find these things because this will help you get back to running pain free.
A lot of times it's really just like showcasing them everything that they do have going on, and really realistically, what does it take, right, to kind of go through a very systematic step-by-step progression. It's like we our SDRs tell them like, hey, like when you come in, you're going to get a very systematic, like step-by-step game plan of what it takes to go from where you currently are now all the way back to whatever goal that you want to be able to do. But they see this like massive laundry list, and we're not gatekeeping or hiding anything. We're literally showing them, hey, like these are all the things you have to fix regardless of if you decide to work with us or not. Now, obviously, they're going to look at that and they're like, some people, they might think, hey, they might be able to kind of fix it on their own now that they have the game plan, which is totally fine, right? Hey, cool. Take the game plan, rock with it. But I would say, like, the majority of people who come in, they realize, like, holy shit, like, yes, this is a lot, but I have no idea how to actually, like, implement this at the appropriate intensity that's needed to actually get me through all the way safely. So that's really kind of what like we really should be selling is like, hey, the actual like implementation of like helping somebody guide them, go through the full like progression safely. But it's like, hey, you have everything that's going on. We're not hiding anything, not glossing over anything, just being very realistic with you of like what it takes. And again, if you want to take this and go with somebody else, it's totally fine. Or if you want to go with it and go through it on your own, cool, totally cool too. Or if you want to come with us, like we can definitely help you get from point A to point B in this specific time frame, and this is what it will look like if you want to move forward.
Yeah. The people, like all the information isn't the moat anymore, right? Like the real moat, or like the thing that people pay for, is going to be like implementation. Like you guys are listening to like our podcast, and there is gems sprinkled all over the podcast. But what happens when you're actually in a group and getting coached by us is like we help you isolate like the one exact thing that you need to look at, because there's so much information and things to sift through. And for us, like our goal as your coaches would be like, hey, we're looking at all your numbers, your metrics. This is the main bottleneck that we have to address. Even myself personally, right? Like last month, it was like we crushed it on lead generation evaluation, but it's like our POC conversion from ads wasn't as good as it needed to be with the increase in volume. So it's like we steadily increased our spend this month, but we put huge emphasis on converting and sales training. And now we've doubled our POC conversion. So it's like you've got to be able to identify what the bottlenecks are. Sometimes people are having a hard time converting their plan of care. There can be 10 different things, right? It's not just the script, it's the tonality, it's the body language, it's your belief. Like it might be a limiting mindset. So it's like there are so many things that you can help a patient overcome that goes beyond just exercise prescription. You got to support them during flare ups. You got to show them exactly how to progress to regress exercises. You got to show them actual movements. And all of these things are not just skills that they take with them for like this 3 month ride of a plan of care. It's something that they can use for the rest of their life. So that's why I always think like what you're selling, or anything that you sell, should be 10x the value that you're selling it for. And if your plan of care is 3,000, you have to write down everything that you're able to help a patient accomplish and help them avoid spending on, to make yourself feel extremely confident that you're delivering like K worth of value.
Love it. And if you guys are implementing some of these tactics and strategies from just our free shit, right? From our podcast, imagine, just imagine how much improvement you will get from actually working with us. But yeah, that's kind of like a similar framework that we'll use on the eval with like any kind of like exercise that we do with some sort of test, retest, get them some sort of quick introsession change. It's like, yo, dude, guys, like, hey, your shoulder already feels better literally just with like 10 minutes of these exercises that we just went through. All right, already a significant improvement. Imagine how much better it's going to improve just by going through the full thing and working with us and really getting back to XYZ. So get people quick wins, man. Get people quick wins. But yeah, just think about it. Imagine how good it's going to be.
Yeah, I think I love the quick wins, love the mobility changes. Other things to focus on is like what people want isn't necessarily to always have like a quick change, right? Because you can also sell them on like a deficit in strength, which sometimes isn't a quick change. It's more graded exposure. But also sometimes people just need like a really in-depth assessment that tells them exactly what's going on and how you're going to solve it. So there are a lot of times, especially as younger clinicians, it's like they fall back on like the, oh, I need to make a positive change, or like I don't know what I would be able to sell on. It's like as long as you can communicate what's going on. From a mobility perspective, that's typically where you will find a relatively quick change. when someone's super acute or sensitive, very recent injury, if you slowly ramp up just general movements and do some great exposure, what's tolerable, you're making the brain feel safe again, and you're going to see some positive changes. So even if you're like, ooh, I don't know, this doesn't match biomechanically what would change it, but this person is like super guarded. If you get them to do more gentle movements, you could probably retest it and see that benefit, right? But zoom out, there are so many different ways to help people. I say it's like mobility deficit, which is one, a rudimentary capacity deficit. So it's just like a submax muscle contraction side to side that's different. If there's a submax deficit, there's definitely a max strength deficit, which is a third one. Like a strength deficit is going to be like your squat, hinge, lunges, what feels different. We have graded exposure afterwards is one of the ones that we focused on, and then coordination deficit. Graded exposure is like, can they do it with enough load? Can they do it with enough speed? And then the coordination deficit is like, Peter does a step down on the right, fucking solid. Peter does a step down on the left, it looks like shit, right? Those are 5 things that you can sell people on if you can identify them as problems and show people that there are problems.
Yeah. I think the main thing I'm taking away is really like, hey, can you feel it side to side, the difference? And then can you also see it, whether it's visually or see the connection between this deficiency is the main reason why we haven't been able to achieve like XYZ goal. If they can see, hey, there is like a very large gap and it's clicking with them, then obviously, hey, like they like you, right? You guys are building rapport and stuff. And from there, they see the value. Like the pitch at the end becomes like the easy.
You got to use the senses. I love that you mentioned that because I used to work at the fucking Art of Shaving selling razors in college. And one of the demos that we used to do, I used to show people, I'm like, hey, put your hands over the sink. I'm just going to do a demo. This is the pre shave oil. Can you feel how smooth that is on your, like, it's going to make the glide really nice. And afterwards, we're going to lather up with the shave brush. Can you feel that luscious kind of like cream that it kind of builds with this brush? This is boar bristle brushes. It's like, people need to have their senses met, right? Because I could feel that in my body. It's different
Yeah.
outside difficulty wise. I could see the difference. It's like the more senses you can get aligned, the more people are gonna be like, oh yeah, like I need this.
I'm gonna start terming myself as a sensory coach now. Shit.
And Peter's gonna be like, close your eyes. Can you
Can you
feel
feel that? Imagine. Imagine. Just imagine.
the chakra, this bad chakra on this side, this bad chakra? But I do think there is something to like, you gotta feel something, right? Like that component of it makes people feel like connected. I just can't like think about any kind of like big purchase that you've made. There's some sort of feeling associated with it, right?
Mhm.
Feeling it changing your status. You could be feeling like the convenience or the excitement, or like, oh my gosh, like think about the last time like you had something wrong in your apartment, your house, and something smelled like shit, or like something broke, and you're just like, oh, I like this is the house that you live in. Your body is literally the house that you live in all the time. So imagine when something's out of tune, not where it needs to be. Man, that fucking sucks. And you
Dude,
can
I
help.
think it would be, you know how like some people where every time they smell something, and it's like linked to a intense deep memory that's like seared in their brain, they like automatically rethink to
It's
that.
always some random Asian food. I'm like, ooh, it reminds me of something I ate in my childhood. It reminds me of something I ate in my
But
childhood.
it's like maybe it's like I've never even thought about it. But what if like we could like have such a profound impact on somebody where it's like, hey, they feel maybe their shoulder like activating and working for the first time in forever without having some sort of like discomfort. And now like in the future, whenever they do like get that same sensation, they do feel that shoulder activating the same way for the first time, they automatically link it back to like, dude, moment PTP, or like, hey, like because that moment was just so profound, But it's like, yeah, if you can kind of like get them to feel, their body activates, like hopefully, kind of, it'll get them to kind of activate their like kind of that sensory memory sensation as well too.
One of my old mentors, Dave O'Sullivan, he used to say, it's like, I want you to think about a time where you weren't like in pain. And I want you to think about what movement felt like, what your body felt like. And it was probably so thoughtless, so relaxed. I want you to remember that feeling because that's what we're going to work you back towards feeling. And I was like, ooh, that's so good, right? Because it starts to give people some hope and something to chase after,
Yeah.
but it also creates a contrast of like the last time that I wasn't in pain, I was just so free, limber, relaxed. Right now, I'm guarded, I'm rigid. So it's like Again, it's the same concept of gap selling. And what you're going to find is like really great clinicians intuitively are gap selling.
Yeah, that's all it is. I mean, regardless of whatever industry, if it's like physical therapy or even just like maybe it's a product or whatever, there has to be like a gap from where they are to where they want to be, whether it's like, hey, like a physical gap of, hey, mobility restriction, or maybe it's the way that somebody feels from where they currently are to where they want to be. But if there is no gap, like I ain't buying shit.
Yeah. And one last thing on my side that we had just talked about prior to coming on, it's like you can future pace in terms of pain, right? And this is really more prevalent in more cash based physical therapists because you're seeing a lot more people that have exhausted the options. So they're usually dealing with multiple body parts that are kind of injured. And we just had a patient come in, Achilles tear, got discharged. Brother can't even do a single leg calf raise, right? It's one single leg calf raise. I'm like, that is a fucking disgrace to our profession. That same side ended up having a knee injury. And I'm just like, it's just a matter of time before that knee injury becomes either a hip injury or becomes an injury on the other side because there's no way that they have a good enough force output on that right calf that it's not going to place stress to other areas. It's already placing more stress to the knee. Now it's just going to travel either up the chain or to the opposite limb. So if you want to drive more urgency, it's like, hey, right now, right, that calf issue became a knee issue, but it's just a matter of time for that knee issue becomes something else, whether it's on the opposite leg or further up the chain. So I'm just glad that we're working together now because if this doesn't change, it probably will just continue to get worse.
Awesome, man. Anything else you can think of?
No, I just want to give you guys permission to explore something differently, right? Oftentimes, like as we're trying to implement something new, it can feel super foreign or it almost feels like you're an imposter, right? Sometimes asking these subtle questions or like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take someone's dignity away. I'm going to make them more dependent on me. As someone that's been in the game now for what is it going like 7 years, and most of the time I've worked with people in chronic
Shit, man,
pain.
we're old. Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing like if you let someone, if you don't see someone on a weekly cadence in the beginning, or you don't see someone for a full plan of care, you don't get to actually experience the things that they need in order for them to be more dependent. They need to have a flare up and see how you help them navigate that flare up, right? So that you can provide them reassurance. They need your eyes so that you can make sure that you're putting stress to the right areas. The body's incredibly efficient at trying to offload an injured position. And you see this all the time, not only in the movements that you're doing now, but it's going to continue to come up again as you start to scale the movements. So if you don't get someone to commit to a full plan of care, you're doing them a disservice. And there's $200 billion that's spent every single year on unnecessary medical expenses. If you are contributing to that in the sense of like, you know that you can help someone, but you're not actually selling them in a way that allows them to get the outcome that they want, it's up to us to lead them. It's up to us to utilize sales and marketing psychology to help them make better decisions because the other person doesn't understand what healthcare is like. So we need you to be a better leader on that side.
Love it. I would say another thing too is really just like if you guys aren't currently happy with the current results that you are getting, or maybe if you know that, hey, there is probably like a small tweak or two that you could potentially change, like don't be afraid to make changes. We're always constantly tweaking and testing out new things in our overall evaluation process, whether it's to help increase conversion or ultimately to help see if we can increase our overall like rate of results. Like you should always be testing something out. But definitely, yeah, if you guys are currently stuck in doing one way of evaluations and it's not really getting you the either outcome from a client standpoint or from a revenue standpoint, which both are honestly very commonly correlated, then you got to try something new.
Do the same thing, get the same results. And if you don't like the results, gotta do something different.
Yeah. What
What's
do you,
that?
the quote? It's the Einstein quote. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result.
Well, I thought the quote was be I'm different. Yeah, I'm different. Pull up to the scene with the cylinder missing.
What?
Gee. But squad, real quick, listen, we hit that 55-star review and we're at 54. Really appreciate it. But man, I feel like 60 would be such a beautiful number. So yo, I know there's gotta be 6 listeners out there. and I haven't rated it yet. I'm watching the downloads. We PR'd 2 weeks ago.
Let's go. Bang bang. But guys, you guys are seeing like as you guys are putting in more and more ratings and reviews, dude, like we're upgrading our studio process for you guys. Dude, before you know it, like, all right, when we get 100, we're gonna have a full-blown production set for y'all.
It's gonna be happening in virtual reality. That's how crazy it's gonna get. We're gonna be the first podcast that's filmed with drones. It's about to
Gee, let's go.
Hi squad. Yo, some of you guys, we're about to hang out this weekend. It's me crazy.
I'm piped.
What do we got planned? We got a night out on Friday on Rainy Street. Saturday morning, K to a coffee shop. Kick it with everyone for the weekend. We're gonna decompress for a bit. We got lunch catered both days. Got pickleball happening. We rented out a private pickleball spot with food trucks and a bar. Decompress, chill out a little bit afterwards. Rooftop, second day, get after it. We got a dope guest speaker, runs multiple seven-figure businesses. Guys, we are delivering, and I get that you're listening right now and you might not be coming this weekend. It's okay. We're going to be running it back again. But I'm just saying, you don't want to miss out on these events. They're so dope. And if you are coming, you already know the vibes. Like my boy Alex said. What does Alex say, Peter?
It's gonna be a movie.
It's going to be a
Let's go.
movie. No, we got my HRV though. I'm back, baby. We're at 50. I'm just trying to slowly climb. So it'll be a
Yeah,
short
as long
film.
as we're 50 above, we're Gucci.